John Carpenter's The Thing is one of, if not the greatest horror film ever made, and I think it is largely due to the paranoia that this movie creates and utilizes. We're in an Arctic and remote location, cut off from the outside world, which naturally creates a sense of isolation. We're not really introduced to most of the crew members in great detail, so we don't really know enough about them to gauge whether or not they're an imposter. And the titular thing is a seemingly unstoppable force that doesn't care about human well-being and simply has a desire to survive and multiply. And its ability to imitate any species is absolutely terrifying. And I think the suspense is only amplified by the fact that we don't really know anything about these alien creatures. Not being able to understand someone or something makes them extremely threatening. I'd compare it to Heath Ledger's Joker in many ways, as Batman spent a lot of time trying to find out what the Joker wanted and why he was causing terror, but he ultimately found that there was no rhyme or reason. The Joker just wanted to watch the world burn in chaos. And in a similar fashion, the Thing just wants to spread and imitate life while wiping out mankind. We don't know why they came to this planet or why they're trying to do this. And this only increases their threat level, as there is no communicating with or trying to reason with them. This crew is either going to survive or perish. And for such an intense and thrilling premise, you need some natural paranoia and mystery in play. If this film was heavy-handed in hinting at who the imposters were, then the suspense would be shot, and it just wouldn't work nearly as well. So I think structuring the film to be set in a remote location and intentionally not fleshing out the crew or alien creatures was absolutely genius. Correlated to this core concept, this film is extremely focused. There isn't a single ounce of unnecessary runtime to be found here. This is a basic and understandable plot executed at the highest possible level with near perfect pacing. And all of the characters make mostly intelligent decisions, even when they're in a state of panic, which is super rare for a horror film. And I think making the aliens so intelligent allowed to have non-stupid human characters. I mean, the Thing nearly managed to make a fully functioning UFO out of spare parts from a helicopter, which is just insane. But from the opening sequence, which unknowingly introduces us to the Thing having imitated a husky, to the closing shot, which leaves us on a bit of a cliffhanger as to whether or not the Thing will survive. This movie does not lose itself in any side plots or take its eyes off of the main mystery that we are all here for. This is a film that had faith in its concept and relies on this central thrilling mystery to completely carry it from scene to scene. Moving away from the simple yet incredible concept and execution of this movie, I must compliment the practical effects utilized here. For a film that was released in 1982, The Thing still looks incredible, and this movie has one of the greatest jump scares of all time. If you've seen the film, you know exactly what moment I'm talking about. And I've shown this movie to a few different friend groups who had never seen it before, and one question I'm always asked is, wait, what year did this come out? And I personally think that is a testament to how good it still looks. Because obviously we have a prime Kurt Russell in this film, so naturally that dates it to somewhere in the 80s, but this looks substantially better than most 80s movies. And because it looks so real, it allows for incredible submersion of the viewing audience. And the score also plays a key role in this submersion, as it's a spacey and understated track list of instrumentals, and really allows a viewer to slip into the film. The main theme especially is amazing, and in many ways mimics a slow heartbeat and really helps establish a creepy aura. Now, some people have complained about the uncertainty that the ending of this film represents, as we don't really get a definitive conclusion, but I couldn't disagree with this assessment more. The ending is perfect because it leaves us as an audience still paranoid, even after the movie is over. And there is a solid argument that this is the greatest horror ending of all time. I mean, really think about it. How many great horror films have absolute shit endings? Take A Nightmare on Elm Street, for example. Great horror film, great concept of a serial killer attacking you in your dreams, but the ending sucks, man. The whole defeating Freddy by turning your back to him, and then everyone who got killed is fine now, but not really because the nightmare is continuing. It all makes no sense, and there's a long list of horror films that have endings like this. I'm looking at you, Friday the 13th. But with John Carpenter's classic, the uncertainty of whether one of our survivors is a thing or not is awesome because it allows the mystery to live on. I mean, this film came out over 4 decades ago and people are still debating about what actually happened. And this is precisely why it's a phenomenal ending. The entire film tried to create a suspense of uneasiness for the viewer, and by not providing a definitive answer, it allows that uneasiness to stick with viewers even decades later. And just from an execution standpoint, John Carpenter did a great job at leaving small breadcrumbs that could allow people to come to multiple conclusions, which is why the open-ended finale is so effective. If multiple conclusions couldn't have realistically been taken away, then this question mark of an ending wouldn't work. Another potentially bold statement that I'd make in regards to The Thing is that this is Kurt Russell at his finest. I know he's a great actor who has delivered some iconic performances, but his calm, cool, and collected delivery here is great. And I know that we typically see Kurt play more charismatic roles, but I think his character really captures the severity of the situation he's in, and then proceeds to act in a pretty intelligent and understandable manner. And I also love how unhinged he is in regards to his own life. MacReady knows that destroying this creature here and now is the only hope for mankind to survive. And he knows that this alien's only goal is to make it to a more heavily populated area. So he uses this against the remaining crew and disguised aliens, as he threatens to blow up the entire camp with a whole bunch of TNT if they don't follow his lead. And while you can debate as to whether or not MacReady succeeded in his ultimate goal, as it's uncertain if Childs was a thing or not at the end of the film, I think it's undeniable that MacReady handled himself just about as good as any character has in a horror film. All in all, The Thing is a cinematic masterpiece, not because it is some extremely complex story with subplots on subplots on subplots, but rather because it has a strong, interesting, and understandable premise, mixed with absolute perfect execution. I know critics panned this movie when it was initially released because it was quote-unquote boring, uneventful, and too nihilistic. But I think its increased popularity after the fact and its current status as a cult classic prove that these reviewers were chatting absolute bollocks. The Thing is awesome and thrilling, point blank and the period. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this analysis of The Thing, please feel free to drop a like or subscribe. And if you agree, disagree, or just have strong thoughts on anything I said, as always, I'd love to hear you in the comments. Until next time, peace.